Are you feeling down, sad, or discouraged right now? Does it seem like nothing makes sense and you just don't have the energy to react? Take a deep breath. You're not alone. And the good news is, you can get out of this emotional state quickly by applying some extremely powerful techniques from Stoic philosophy. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 proven, practical, and immediate strategies that will help you fight sadness, discouragement, and that feeling of emotional emptiness, all through ancient Stoic wisdom adapted to your everyday life. Pay close attention, because each technique revealed here is a valuable tool to restore your emotional balance, clear your mind, and most importantly, show you that the strength to overcome sadness is closer than you think. Let's begin. Have you ever tried to ignore sadness, pretending it doesn't exist, hoping it would simply go away? That's more common than you think. But the truth is, trying to run from or deny what you feel only makes the sadness grow stronger. The secret to dealing with this emotion lies exactly in accepting its presence, understanding that it's natural and temporary. That way, you avoid emotional exhaustion and recover your energy for something more productive. Stoicism, the ancient philosophy practiced by Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, teaches exactly this. Face your emotions with objectivity and serenity. They never told you to never feel sad, but to know how to stay calm in the face of sadness. Having emotional control doesn't mean eliminating negative emotions, but learning how to experience them with ancient wisdom. Accepting that these feelings are part of life can transform your emotional perspective. Picture this. You've lost something you deeply loved, maybe a job, a friendship, or a dream. Of course it hurts, but instead of pretending it doesn't, or trying to convince yourself it's nothing, say this. Yes, I'm sad. It's normal to feel this way. This is part of being human. This small act already starts to reduce the emotional weight and strengthens your resilience to face the situation with renewed mental strength. One helpful practice when you're going through tough times is to write everything you're feeling down on paper, without judgment or filters. Describe what's bothering you and why. When you express your emotions openly like this, it becomes clear that sadness is just a natural response to something difficult. It's like venting to someone who won't judge you, and that enhances your emotional intelligence. Conscious acceptance brings something powerful, a deep sense of relief. When you recognize and allow yourself to feel sadness without guilt or internal resistance, you create solid ground for true personal development. That's when you realize you can remain calm under pressure, even when everything seems to fall apart. In this state, your mind is free to seek real solutions and recover emotional balance more quickly. But here's a question worth reflecting on. Is this conscious acceptance enough to overcome sadness and discouragement completely? Or is there something more you can do to speed up your emotional recovery? Let's explore that in the next step. How to separate what you can control from what you can't. If you think about it, most of our sadness comes from the frustration of not being able to change what's beyond our control. Have you noticed how upset we get when something we deeply want doesn't happen the way we imagined? Stoicism brings a powerful teaching about this. We must clearly distinguish what depends on us from what doesn't. It seems simple, but applying this ancient wisdom daily completely transforms how we deal with discouragement. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, had a sharp way of summarizing this idea. He taught us to ask, is this within my control? Can I really change this? If the answer is no, then shift your focus immediately to what you can control, your actions, your thoughts, and how you choose to respond. This isn't resignation, it's mental strength with wisdom. It's about accepting reality without wasting energy fighting the inevitable. Think of this. You're frustrated because it rained on the day of your special event, and now you're sad. Rain, of course, is beyond your control. But your reaction to it is entirely up to you. You can let the weather ruin everything, or adapt quickly and stay calm. This is the power of perception. You decide whether to focus on what's outside or inside your influence. A practical technique to develop mind mastery is to list in every difficult situation what is under your control. For example, if you're upset about harsh criticism, you can't control what someone said, but you can control how you respond. You can extract a lesson from it, use it to grow. That's real emotional discipline. It keeps you from getting stuck in negative cycles. Believe me, the more you practice this, the faster you'll escape that feeling of helplessness that fuels discouragement. You'll notice your stress levels dropping and emotional energy being redirected toward real solutions. That leads to more peace of mind, more focus, and better results in every area of life. And now you might ask yourself, okay, I understand I need to focus on what's within my control, but is there something I can do right now to shift my mood and energy? Great question. And yes, there is. In the next topic, we'll talk about something immediate and physical that you can do, something that changes your emotional state almost instantly. Have you noticed that when sadness or discouragement hits, the last thing you feel like doing is moving? Ironically, that's exactly when your body needs it most. Stoicism teaches us to act even in the absence of desire, to move forward regardless of emotional storms. Physical movement, even in small doses, can radically shift your state of mind and break the emotional cycle that keeps you stuck. Here's the science behind it. When you engage in any physical activity, your brain releases neurotransmitters like endorphins and serotonin, which instantly boost your mood. And the Stoics, without needing a lab, intuitively understood this. They taught the value of discipline and motion, especially during hardship, so don't wait for motivation. Create it through action. It's a form of emotional control that starts in the body. Try something simple. Take a 10-minute walk around the block when you're feeling down. You don't need fancy equipment or a gym. Even stretching, breathing exercises, or light calisthenics at home can have a massive impact. These small, deliberate movements are enough to interrupt negative thinking and create space for emotional recovery. This is how you train resilience, not by waiting for the right mood, but by creating momentum. Picture someone who's had a long, draining day, full of stress, tension, and mental fog. Instead of collapsing into the couch, they step outside and walk through the park, headphones off, mind open. When they return, something has shifted. There's more clarity, more calm. The external movement helped reframe the internal chaos. That's mind mastery through the body, an essential part of Stoic discipline. To make this effective long-term, you can establish a regular movement routine. That way, when sadness comes, the habit is already there. No need to wrestle with resistance. This consistency builds emotional strength over time, allowing you to bounce back faster after each setback. It's about training your nervous system to recover again and again with grace and power. But movement alone isn't everything. Sometimes your mind still clings to what's missing, to what went wrong. So what if you could redirect your thoughts toward what's already right in your life? In the next topic, we'll explore a Stoic practice that's just as powerful as movement, and it all begins with one word: gratitude. When things go wrong, it's easy for the mind to obsess over what's missing, broken, or painful. That's when the ancient wisdom of Stoicism invites us to shift our focus. Practicing gratitude, consciously and intentionally, is not about ignoring your problems. It's about balancing your mental lens. Even during pain, there are things worth appreciating, and when you notice them, you start to dissolve the weight of sadness and reignite your inner strength. Seneca once said that it's impossible to be unhappy if you're truly aware of what you already have. But this isn't about forced or fake gratitude. It's about recognizing what's real and present right now. Maybe it's your morning coffee, a moment of silence, or someone who smiled at you when you needed it most. These seemingly small things are often the anchor that pulls us out of emotional storms and into emotional balance. Here's how to make it practical. Every day, write down 3 specific things you're grateful for. Don't be vague, be clear. Instead of, "I'm grateful for life," write, "I'm grateful for sleeping peacefully last night," or "I'm grateful for a warm meal that comforted me today." This small habit trains your emotional intelligence to move away from lack and toward abundance. Over time, this mental shift becomes your new baseline. Let's say someone had a rough day, got ignored, criticized, or overlooked. They could spiral into self-doubt. But if they pause to reflect and write down, "I'm grateful I didn't lash out," or "I'm grateful I had the strength to stay calm," they're now reinforcing progress rather than pain. This is a powerful form of self-development that transforms emotional reactions into purposeful reflections. Gratitude also shrinks the ego. A lot of sadness comes from unmet expectations or a bruised sense of entitlement. When you start noticing what's already good, you stop reacting excessively when life doesn't meet your ideal. That's peace through perception, a stoic strength that allows you to see beauty even in imperfection, and that's where real freedom lives. But here's something deeper. What if your sadness is actually trying to teach you something? What if beyond the pain there's a lesson shaping your character? In the next topic, we'll go beyond gratitude and explore how sadness can become one of your greatest teachers. There are moments when sadness hits so hard that it feels like nothing good could ever come from it. But Stoicism teaches a radical shift in perspective. Sadness isn't just an obstacle, it's a teacher. Every negative emotion carries a hidden lesson, a message that can completely change the way you live. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle is the way," and that includes your emotional pain. When you begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" everything begins to shift. Take a real example. Someone is rejected in a job interview and feels worthless for days, but with some reflection, they realize that the position wasn't even aligned with their values. That rejection revealed they were on the wrong path and needed to prepare better. What felt like defeat became clarity. This is the core of personal development, using pain as a compass instead of a burden. Transforming sadness into learning requires mental discipline and presence. Instead of reacting with self-pity or anger, pause, breathe deeply, and ask honestly, what is this pain revealing? Maybe it's a planning mistake. Maybe it's a toxic relationship. Maybe you just need rest and reconnection with your purpose. Either way, when you treat sadness like a wise guide, you stop fearing it and start growing through it. Seneca said, "No wind favors the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." Sadness might be the sign that your ship is drifting, and that's not a failure, it's a wake-up call. Reflecting on your emotions strengthens your resilience, because even in your lowest moments, you walk away wiser. Over time, this habit becomes part of your mindset, one that prepares you to face future setbacks with emotional clarity. Learning from emotional pain is also a powerful cure for the ego. Often suffering comes from pride, unmet expectations, or the illusion of control. When you use sadness as a mirror, you peel away the excess and get closer to who you really are. That's ancient wisdom in practice, living with less illusion and more truth. It creates emotional freedom that few ever experience. But what if the real problem isn't the sadness itself, but what you expected before it arrived? In the next topic, we'll talk about how unchecked expectations can sabotage your peace and how to redefine them using Stoic clarity. One of the quietest causes of sadness and discouragement lies in the expectations we create. We expect people to act how we want, life to unfold without obstacles, and the world to reward our efforts on time. But as Epictetus said, it's not the events that disturb us, but the judgments we place upon them. When you learn to adjust your expectations to reality, you shield yourself emotionally from unnecessary disappointment and begin to live with more lightness and peace of mind. Think of someone expecting instant recognition after weeks of effort at work. When it doesn't happen, discouragement crashes in. But was that expectation aligned with reality? With how people behave, how time works, or how systems actually respond? Redefining expectations is about mastering your mind, not to settle for less, but to stop getting hurt by illusions. This Stoic practice is like emotional armor against frustration. Stoicism doesn't teach pessimism. It teaches preparation. Seneca called it premeditation of adversity, visualizing what could go wrong to be emotionally ready. For instance, if you're visiting a difficult relative, expect that they may say something unpleasant. If they don't, great. But if they do, you're not caught off guard. This approach drastically reduces overreactions and builds emotional control in even the most triggering situations. Here's a simple, powerful habit. Before any important moment, pause and examine your expectations. Ask yourself, is what I'm hoping for based on reality? Often we project onto situations and people the role of validating our worth or guaranteeing our happiness. When you remove that pressure, you regain your power. This is emotional intelligence in action, understanding what belongs to you and what never did. Once you redefine your expectations, emotional freedom becomes real. Disappointments decrease, conflicts become rarer, and even insults lose their sting. Why? Because you stop projecting fantasies and start living grounded in reality. This is the essence of stress management through Stoicism, not trying to change the wind, but adjusting your sails with ancient wisdom. But here's the catch. Even after adjusting expectations, sadness may still creep in. What if there were a simple tool to help you trace that sadness back to its source, quickly and clearly? In the next topic, you'll learn one of the most ancient and effective methods for emotional self-discovery. Many underestimate the power of simply writing down what they feel, but keeping an emotional journal is one of the most profound Stoic practices for building mental discipline and emotional clarity. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote daily about his thoughts, mistakes, reflections, and learnings. It wasn't vanity, it was necessity. He understood that the best way to organize inner chaos was to bring it to paper. A journal is a mirror that doesn't lie. Picture this: 5 quiet minutes at night, writing down what disturbed you during the day, that unresolved conversation, that overreaction, that lurking insecurity. As you name those emotions, you begin to see patterns, repetitions, and most importantly, solutions. It's like placing sadness under a magnifying glass. This habit strengthens emotional intelligence and gives you a sharper view of what really brings you down. You don't need pages and pages. Just 2 or 3 honest sentences can be powerful. For example, today I felt useless because I was ignored in the meeting. I think I've been depending too much on external validation. That single line contains a diagnosis and a path to change. Over time, this becomes a form of resilience training, where every entry transforms pain into personal growth. It's like sharpening your mind before the world can wear it down. Journaling also humbles the ego. You'll see how often your sadness came from pride, wounded expectations, or a need for control. Reading old entries can even make you laugh at things that once felt unbearable. That's the power of perception. It shows how the mind distorts reality when it's overwhelmed. And once you see through those distortions, you react less and live more intentionally. Another hidden benefit: your journal becomes a progress tracker. When you face a new emotional challenge, you can look back and see how you handled something similar before. It reminds you that you've already survived worse, and that knowledge anchors you. It connects you to your own wisdom, reinforcing the emotional strength you've been building all along. But there's an even older, deeper resource than journaling, one that not only brings clarity to the mind, but uplifts the spirit. In the next and final topic, we'll explore how to find emotional strength and inner calm through the timeless words of the Stoic masters. Sometimes when everything feels like it's falling apart, what we need isn't more information, it's wisdom. And the Stoic masters, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, knew exactly how to bring light into the darkest moments of the soul. Reading their words is like having a silent conversation with someone who understands your pain, but won't let you drown in it. Instead of offering comfort, they offer clarity. Instead of pity, they awaken your strength. That's philosophy of life, in action. Imagine opening Meditations by Marcus Aurelius on a gloomy day and reading this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That sentence alone can shift your entire perspective. When you absorb these teachings consistently, you build an internal structure, a stronghold of the mind, that keeps you grounded no matter how chaotic life gets. If you've never read any Stoic texts, start with On the Shortness of Life by Seneca or The Art of Living, based on Epictetus' teachings. These are short, powerful works. You don't have to read them all at once. Read 1 page a day, like medicine for the soul. Gradually, you'll feel calmer in the face of anger, firmer in the face of criticism, and less affected by things beyond your control. That's pure emotional mastery. These ancient teachers also revealed a powerful truth. Suffering isn't something to avoid at all costs, but something to understand and transform. When Epictetus says, "Don't seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do," he's showing us how not to break down, how to remain calm under pressure, even when life throws the unexpected. Peace of mind comes not from resistance, but from wise acceptance. Bringing this into your daily routine is an act of discipline. It's like feeding your mind with high-value nutrients. If you already read regularly, add Stoic literature. If not, start small, highlighted quotes, short reflections. What matters is staying connected to this source of ancient wisdom, which, even after thousands of years, remains shockingly relevant and incredibly practical. And now that you've learned all these techniques and insights, you might be wondering, how do I tie this all together into a real path to overcome sadness and discouragement? Well, that's exactly what the introduction to this video was designed to prepare you for. Because yes, there is a clear and powerful way to rise. Now that you've discovered these 5 Stoic techniques to fight off sadness and discouragement, I invite you to take the most important step: apply them. Because knowledge without action is just pretty theory. So what will you do today, right now, to break this emotional cycle? Will you write in your journal? Go for that walk even if you don't feel like it? Or maybe start reading Marcus Aurelius? Don't wait for the willpower to show up. Create momentum through movement. Let me ask you, which of these techniques resonated the most with you? Which one do you feel could truly change the way you deal with life's lows? Leave a comment below. Share your experience. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to rise out of darkness too. And if something inside you felt seen, understood, or uplifted in this video, then the journey has already begun. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss what's coming next. We're going deeper into how to master your mind, build discipline, stop overreacting, and stay calm under pressure. Because living with lightness, even in hard times, is not luck. It's trained wisdom, and you're more than ready for it.